we've got Moriah in the foreground, then we've got the Wheeler Massif in the background. So I'm going to leave the ridge system right now, since I'll be coming back along it, and since I've found a network of roads that'll not only take me through watery canyons, saving me the trouble of melting small, potentially dirty snow patches later, but also, since it'll take me to the the north face or north base of Mount Moriah. Even though it'll be a little bit lower and hotter than I was expecting today. This will allow me to see something different and get some water along the way. Fairly fresh tire tracks and footprints even. Saw some lights on Mount Moriah last night on one of the high shoulders. Either campers or people coming down, so I'm sure I won't be that alone on this trip after all. Though it's coming on 24 hours now of having seen no one. Silver Peak Range, that was 4 straight days without seeing a single person. I've gone a week, I've gone 2 weeks before. 4 days isn't really that much. Not going too low, just got to cross a couple of these lower ridges. See that road diverging up, cutting across the next drainage? It's my next road. Cut over a couple drainages, then we'll be ascending again. Dropped a little bit down into the PJ zone again though. Plenty of Cercocarpus. It's more or less straight ahead. It's lost basically all its snow, even on the north face. Which tells you how dry it's been out here, unfortunately. You can see it in the plants. There's not a lot blooming even down here. Entering the Mount Moriah northern drainage system straight ahead. You can see that even though there's sagebrush everywhere, that we had indeed fallen below the line of the sagebrush steppe, which we can see straight ahead higher up in the distance. In reality, we're in the Cercocarpus and pinyon-juniper zone with some sagebrush present, dominant in the wash bottom, not dominant up there. Whereas on the sagebrush steppe, the sagebrush is the dominant taxon. Excited to lunch over there, for it looks like there's water coming off the mountain. You were counting on this named spring, you'd be crap out of luck. At least this year. Fortunately, there's a place called Water Canyon right around the bend. It's a promising name, I'd say. Here we are in Water Canyon, holding up to its name. Nothing to write home about, but appreciated nonetheless. It's good for July in a drought year, I suppose. A lot of the water is going into very lush riparian vegetation. So at one point people made use of the water up high here, besides campers and jeepers and hikers and such. See the old piping there? Whenever you really look in these things, there's nothing much to see, so we can go up there if you want. Sounds like you want to. Let's look at Frazera on the way real quick. See it in full or bloom up high, I suppose. Told you so. Nothing even for the rodents to pick through left. Some roses hanging on, that's kind of funny. Nice place to live. It would have been pretty cold in the winter. Maybe they go down to the Snake Valley or something in the winter. Spend the summer up here. Aspens starting to join the scene. The wet canyons, it seems like. So this is the spring. Here's the drainage. A couple muddy hoof prints. A couple pockets of shallow water. As of right here, water starts appearing out of the ground, proceeding to meet with other waters downhill, including this one. All of a sudden, in a temporary aspen woodland, and there's a lot of Thalictrum fendleri out here. It's a wind-pollinated member of the Ranunculaceae, buttercups. And there's a rose thicket in front of me, and who knows what other obstacles lie ahead. The road just suddenly disappeared. There's a lot of downfall here, and it's a skeleton. Some kind of smaller, I don't know, ungulate? Not sure. Joined with a new road system, and there's Mount Moriah right before me. The road's gonna take me pretty close up, and then it'll be some type of cross-country route to the summit above the tree line part. Can't remember the last time I saw so many clouds. Think a storm's coming in? Thought I was hallucinating at first from a distance. I took a second look. That's really what's happening right there. There's water pouring into a tire. Been seeing lots of cattle in evidence, so that's where they're drinking. Looks pretty good. These cattle up here have it pretty damn good compared to some other situations. Now the second tire is full too. What's going on there? I don't quite understand, but it's pretty cool. So in that little notch there is water flowing down. I wasn't gonna sample any, but then I saw this and that looks too good to turn down, frankly. Water's ice cold. Delicioso. People are ingenious about getting water to the surface in Nevada. You have to give them that. This is a pleasant surprise. On most maps it shows road kind of ending right here, and that's that. But this admittedly sorry sign suggests there's some pretty good trails to make use of in the wilderness of this peak as its namesake. The subalpine forest is mostly whitebark pine with plenty of aspen mixed in, at least lower down here. We'll see what happens at the upper tree line. But the firs have disappeared for now. Haven't seen any bristlecones yet. Definitely no spruces or anything like that either. This is pretty nice to be on a trail in the wilderness all of a sudden. The roads were quick, but the road itself is not a very wildernessy thoroughfare. Not that I did see anyone, but it's always a possibility to have a Jeep pull up on your ass. Maybe they'd offer you a cold beer or a Gatorade, maybe not. Most of them just wave and, you know, don't even say anything from within their cars with the windows closed. They're so afraid of all the dust getting into all the nooks and crannies of the car. Just embrace the dust if you bring a car out here regularly. Nice not to be on the dusty road. Just kind of took a mini bath at the tire tub. And now I can stay clean tonight. How about that? Known about Mount Moriah for a very long time, well over 10 years, probably closer to 15. It's just one of those peaks. It's well known for being a high snowy place in some beautiful wilderness in terms of northern and eastern Nevada, just like Wheeler, a little bit to the south of here, just like some summits in the Rubies. It's not that many truly high and alpine peaks in Nevada. Charleston, of course, is probably the most famous, although it's not really alpine up there. So we're going to see actual alpine taxa on this trip, whether it's here, whether it's on Wheeler. And it's nice to finally see this place after so many years. Back then when I first probably read about this place, I knew next to nothing about plants and was strictly outdoors a lot for mountaineering and long treks and such. That was my main gateway into botany, was through enjoying these types of places to begin with. Now I'm here at the convergence of my love for trekking and my love for botany. The sign back there indicating wilderness. There's a certain promise inherent in that sign, in that boundary. The promise is that I won't encounter any motor vehicles out here. There won't be any improvements of a mechanized sort whatsoever. There will not be any power lines. There will not be any mines. There will not be any logging. There will not be any illegal harvesting of plants and wildlife and other organisms. There's a promise inherent into wilderness. There's no bicycles even. Certainly no motor bicycles welcome here. What's promised is a peaceful trail and much, much more expanse of peace without trails. The wilderness means that within its boundaries, the habitat will be as pristine and primordial as it possibly or potentially can get. What that means here is that I've walked into a grove of spruce trees. The first we've seen together in Nevada, and I almost never encounter them as it is. So, walked into a special pocket of ecology in the state where spruces, Picea engelmanni, can thrive. Look how tall that one is. In the shelter of this steep drainage. Like firs, spruces only have one needle per attachment point, but they leave behind these bumps when the leaves are shed. Unlike firs rather. Here's the one needle per attachment point. Starting to get tiny potentillas and phloxes. They look very ratty though, very drought stricken. That's why we're not really stopping that much. I'm starting to see some more interesting stuff, some more diversity. So we will be looking at more plants soon, but just want to point that out, that a lot of it is ratty and droughty as can be. This trail's still working out great. Tell it's not very used, but it's bringing me to the big plateau just to the north of the peak, and from the plateau I can mount a summit. Here's a plateau. It's not that big after all. It's a windswept Krumholtz and bristlecone zone. So Krumholtz for the other species and normal stature for the bristlecones, which turn out to be the highest forest type in these parts, as may have been predicted. There are actually a few spruces up here too. There's a big grove of them. Had to leave the trail because it started going the wrong way and had probably topped out, so not sure where I'm gonna stop since it's almost dark. There's quite a bit to go up there, but see what happens. it's time to follow the ridge up. Either way for now. Here's the plateau. So what do we have growing on these barren alpine slopes? It's a lot of dried out phlox, potentilla, and erigeron, and a lot of lichens. I wish my good friend E.T. were here to tell me what they were. That is quite some alpenglow. If you never climb peaks in the evening, then you never get such a damn fine alpenglow. Some petro this high up, 11,000 feet. But not blooming this year apparently. Well, I'm almost there, but I'll have to enjoy the views alone, since it's basically dark. Moon's about to come up, pretty full, so I will have some semblance of views. Should be interesting actually, but that's it for now. Didn't make it to the summit last night. I made it just about to the summit. Here I am camped at the last saddle before the summit. It was very calm when I first arrived, but there are periodic bouts of wind that prevented some pretty good sleep last night. It's a late start here. See you up top. Welcome to Mount Moriah, a barren, sun-drenched, windswept place if there was one. All the vegetation is really ground mats with a ground dwelling ribes recently seen. There's the high plateau to the north. So that's the crest there. And that's the crest there. So it runs into some canyons in lower country, maybe even hits over here, but the proper crest is actually quite aloof from Mount Moriah. Get the canyon system there, but otherwise it's way out there. Hence why we're up here now. And come back along the full extent of the range from the south. We'll come along Wheeler there, follow the true crest. Back home. Traveling eastwards from here into Utah, this is the highest set of points for quite a distance. See, it's all fairly low ridges and deserts as far as the eye can see that way. That way is the Great Salt Lake, Salt Desert. It's just looking like a haze from here, but I'm fairly certain it's way out there. Go into interior Nevada, and the ranges stay fairly high consistently across great parts of the Great Basin. I do imagine it'll be quite quicker. It's taken me 2 days to get here from the north via the roads, but quicker to follow the crest back. So much easting and westing going on with the road systems that I made very little true southern progress at any given point in time.